Question right up front, and we'll get to more questions.
Have you ever had to experience rust? And do you have any techniques or tips to avoid rust ruining a harvest or impacting your yields?
And I'm assuming we're talking garlic rust here.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought we were talking about my farm pickup. It's mostly rust, but okay. Rust is a condition that happens on any number of plants, and farmers know this. That rust happens, and I have to give away that the gentleman who asked the question is from the Pacific Northwest, where it's really moist, which we're not anymore. Rust loves moisture, if I'm not mistaken. So we haven't seen it recently. Yeah, and I have never seen it in garlic. We have seen it in the crop fields with my renter partner farmer. We have seen it there in wet years.
Okay, so for weather's sake, I hope you have rust.
Oh, yes, I would take the rust. If it meant it came with rain, I would take the rust right now, especially because we've already harvested the garlic.
All right, more questions?
Thank you. Thank you for this event too. So this is a good segue, the rust. We have we're small, we just do about 100 square feet of garlic. And there's always the debate of how much to water the garlic. If there has been no rain, I think we tend to possibly overwater, but
All right, how much should we water our garlic if it doesn't fall from the sky?
And here's everybody's favorite answer. That depends. Garlic does not like to stand in water, but it's how to say it. It doesn't like to stand in the same water. If the water is moving through, if you're in raised beds, which I've never done, if you're like your whole farm and it's hilly, well, the water moves through. And then it's not as critical that you don't, because the thing you're going to do is overwater the garlic. But on a hill or in raised beds, it's much harder to do that because the water's going to move through. There's pathogens that build up if it's sitting in water, and it just doesn't like it. It really doesn't like to sit in a puddle. So yes, I irrigated the garlic 5 times this year. And it's like, oh yeah, well, we water our tomatoes every week. There are years that I don't water the garlic at all. Just don't even think about taking irrigation. But the last 3 years, a lot of water, but we're on hills, so it's fine. If you're in low spots, be very, very careful. Let it dry out.
When the stalks are drying,
They pick the scapes. Everybody knows what scapes are? Flower stalk. They're delicious. Yeah. Right. And what time of year was that? Okay. They were done. Garlic is going to mature. Okay. What's the rule of thumb for knowing when your garlic is ready to harvest? When you have time. No. It's the bottom 3 leaves have gone brown, and only the top 2/3 of the plant are still green. You want it to still be green. Don't wait until your garlic is completely brown to harvest it. And I can go into all kinds of reasons for that that will bore everybody silly. But just take my word for it. Top third still green, bottom third gone brown. If it's browning from the top down, you've got a problem. It could be water, it could be diseases. Browning from the bottom up is what it's supposed to do, and it's usually done by the middle of July.
All right, we have time for a couple more questions here.
Hi, I have a question about the mulch. Tell us more about what kind of mulch you use, and also we live in a suburb of the Twin Cities, just regular old house with a little bit larger garden. Is just leaves and grass the best mulch for us, and how thick?
The leaves and grass, and you can get grass clippings and leaves from often from your city neighborhood. Be careful that they don't have herbicides on them, because that will just get right into your soil. If you can get good straw. Remember the fine arts degree. If you can get good straw that is clean, it doesn't have a lot of seeds in it. Otherwise, you're going to have an oats crop or wheat crop. But, that's the best. I use chopped up corn stalks, same stuff that we use for bedding animals, because that's what we have. You know, our partner farmer grows corn, and we take corn stalks, chop them up, and use that for mulch. But yes, leaves can work. They tend to mat down if they haven't already blown away, and the grass can work. What you don't want to use is wood chips.
How deep?
Oh, here comes that. That depends. How deep do you want your mulch? If you're growing northern varieties of garlic, if you're growing the porcelain family, purple stripe families that are northern varieties, you can put 4 to 6 inches of mulch on there. And why is that a good thing? These garlics will survive winter. They'll survive without the mulch. But if you put that on there, it's going to keep it. If we start having a frost and thaw cycle, the garlic could pop out of the ground if it doesn't have its roots down yet. Frost heaving. And everybody who loves weeding, nobody loves weeding. You love weeding. Well, then pull your mulch off in the spring. Otherwise, if you're growing the northern varieties, don't pull your mulch off. Leave it on there. It's a myth that you have to pull the mulch off. Oh, we need the ground to warm up. Well, we did 4 years of field trials about this. And we pulled mulch off on a plot, and then we had a control plot, and then we did a second control. And so we pulled the mulch off, and yeah, it just shot right up. That garlic just shot right up. And then it got weeds. And then it dried out. And by the time we harvested, no difference in yield. So if you just love weeding, go ahead and pull the mulch.
Hi, I've been growing garlic for a while, and this year I put some garlic in, and I have some friends in town that have they're gardening in boxes in their backyard. Do you have any advice for successful growth in those box gardens? We did notice, of course, the garlic I grew and what they grew, same close, same seed stock. Theirs were a lot smaller. And I'm just curious as to any advice for best practices in those box gardens.
Garlic, well, okay, first off, anytime I say something about the garlic, it's like it's listening, and it's like, we're going to show him. We're going to do something completely different. But garlic seems to know that it's in a confined space. You know, people say, can I grow garlic in plots? Well, no, not really. And somebody's going to prove me wrong, but can I grow a pot with one garlic in it? Not really. The roots are much deeper than you think they are. You know, it's like, oh, it's only got this much root on it. That's because it left all the rest of that root in the ground. They broke off when you harvest it. They have long roots on them. They get way down there, and they seem to know if they hit the bottom of the bed. And in a bed, maybe you don't want to do your 8-inch spacing, because I recommend they be 8 inches apart from each other. Oh, but we're in a raised bed here. We can be closer together. Not really. You can do it, and box, yes, raised bed that's maybe 6 inches to a foot above the ground and has got its, good soil underneath the bed. That's going to be better. Yeah, it's really hard to grow it in any kind of container.
One more question, last question here.
Hi, I grow my garlic on raised beds, and I'm going to move them to from one bed to another. Are there any vegetables that were previously there that I should avoid?
All right, what's a good crop rotation for garlic?
The first thing I want to say is wherever you're planting your garlic now, don't come back there for 4 years. It's a 4-year rotation. Yes, you can hedge that, but you want to plant, then do something else for 4 years. The other things you don't want to plant in between are other alliums, onions, leeks, shallots. The same diseases get them, and they feed the same way. They're going to deplete your nutrients. So legumes are great. Plant your green beans, your peas, any number of those things. Tomatoes are fine. Nothing, you're going to need to amend the soil after that probably, because tomatoes suck up so much stuff. But otherwise, it's just avoid the other alliums and don't come back to the same spot for 4 years. That's why when people say, I want to grow an acre of garlic and make $60,000, how do I start? And I say, you start with a 1/4 acre of garlic, because you're going to need the other 3/4 in your rotation.
All right, well, thank you so much for taking some time to come grace the Meet Your Farmer stage. Let's all give him a round of applause. So that was very interesting.